Welcome to the Spirit of VMI Election 2021 Gubernatorial Candidate Interviews. Today I've got Mr. Glenn Youngkin interviewing with us today, Republican candidate for governor of Virginia. Previously, we have had Amanda Chase, we've had Pete Snyder, we've had Kirk Cox all do interviews for us. And I need to get this out straight out front that these interviews are not an indication of endorsement for anybody. The purpose of the interviews is to educate the people from VMI on who's out there and where they stand on issues that are related specifically to the Virginia Military Institute. I'm Matt Daniel. I am the chairman of the Spirit of VMI PAC. We were founded to support and ensure a strong VMI experience for current cadets and cadets in the future as well. And we like to say VMI is good. VMI is good. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. We have Glenn Youngkin here. Hi, Glenn. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you for having me. And I'd just like to say hello to the entire VMI community. I'm honored to be with you today.
Thank you. We have about 8 questions. We sent them to you before, the same exact questions we've had for other candidates. We're going to do the same thing for the Democrats. Your timeline as far as Republicans go is a little faster, quicker than the Democrats. They'll have a full primary, and you guys decide your nomination on May 8th. So today is April 27th. So it's coming up pretty quick. So we need to get this going. Did you receive those questions, Glenn?
I did. Thank you for sending them to me. And I just look forward to this discussion. I want to start by just saying how much I appreciate both the opportunity to speak with you, but also to talk about VMI. I mean, VMI is an extraordinary institution. It's been, at the foundation of the values of Virginia for a long time. And I just look forward to this discussion because as governor, I want everyone to know that I'm going to support VMI and make sure that it continues in the great tradition that we have already experienced with VMI alum all around this great Commonwealth and this great country, both serving and leading. So thank you for letting me join you today.
You're welcome, sir. And as you realize, VMI is under fire recently, and that's the reason why the Political Action Committee formed, the Spirit of VMI, looking to address those issues through legislative means as much as possible. And this is one of the services that we're providing to our donors and our friends at the Spirit of VMI PAC. So have you been to the post or the campus at VMI in Lexington?
I have. I've been to Lexington. I've been to VMI's campus, and I know a lot of folks that in fact have attended VMI, and I call many of them friends. And so, yes, sir, I have.
Roger that. That sort of encompasses the second question. Do you know any VMI graduates or current cadets? Your kids might know some that have gone through that might be their age. Not sure, but. So having been to VMI and having met people and know people that come from VMI, do you have an overall impression of the graduates and or cadets at VMI?
Yes, I just want to finish. One of our closest family friends' son is actually at VMI now. And many of my friends that I grew up with attended VMI, and some of the people that I would call mentors attended VMI. And my impression has universally been one of the highest character, outstanding sense of service, and friends that I would like to, in fact, if I had a problem raising my kids, they would help me raise my children, and children that I have actually gotten to know as they've grown up, that I'd be happy to be their father. So, sir, I just think the VMI graduates and cadets that I know are of the highest integrity and highest standards, and I hold them in incredibly high regards.
Thank you for that answer. VMI being a state school, it uses resources from the state of Virginia. Do you think the VMI is a valuable resource in and of itself to the Commonwealth and to the nation? Is it worthy of the apportionment that it gets from the state every year?
Absolutely, it is. I think Virginia would not be Virginia without the Virginia Military Institute, and therefore I think that the appropriations that are actually set aside to support VMI are appropriate. And I'm also incredibly encouraged by the support that VMI gets from your alumni base. And that actually speaks to the long-term sustainability of the institution. That in fact, not just 18 or 19% of the annual budget comes from the Commonwealth of Virginia, but from the students that are there, but also from your alumni and your foundation. And I think that speaks to the holistic support that VMI has. And I sure hope that everybody continues to support VMI in that way, because it is a cornerstone to Virginia today, and it will be in its future.
Would you, as governor, be willing to veto budgets that don't provide adequate funding for VMI?
Yes, sir, I would. Yes, sir, I would. And I think that adequate funding from the Commonwealth does require adequate funding from the alumni base and from students that are attending VMI in the form of tuition. But the Commonwealth has to step up and do its share, and I would support that wholly as governor.
Okay, thank you for that. And shifting gears just a little bit here, you know about the VMI Rat Line, the sort of crucible experience that first-year cadets go through for most of their first year. You're familiar with that?
I am, sir. I'm actually quite respected.
So that the question, I guess, is, and you sort of answered it already, but do you think, from what you know about the VMI experience, is the Rat Line or the crucible at VMI beneficial to the school and its product, to the state and to the country?
Yeah, I think that the idea of bringing in students and cadets from all over the country, from different walks of life, and actually allowing them to start together in the form of equality, not equity, but equality, and actually allowing them to be brought together as a team, and then to experience what it means to depend upon one another, to support one another, is critical to what VMI stands for. And therefore, the experience of VMI that the Rat Line actually engenders is critical to the overall outcome that VMI strives for: honor and integrity and service to others. And so, yes, sir, I believe that the Rat Line is critical to the overall VMI experience, and VMI should be absolutely allowed to decide how they're going to run the Rat Line. And it's run by cadets. It's run for cadets, and that's the way it should function.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. Another shift of gears, the VMI honor system is unique in the way, I think, in the nation. I think unique is not too strong of a word. Do you think that VMI's unique honor code requires any changes or modifications?
Let me start by saying how much I respect the honor code. And I believe that the standard that is set by that honor code, which, oh, by the way, again, is run by cadets, where everyone is granted due process, but actually the standard is incredibly high. I had someone describe it to me as: we will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate anyone who does. And sir, that is the standard that I hold myself to. And so I think that's a standard that VMI has set. I actually deeply respect the fact that it is a standard that is adhered to. And oh, by the way, if there are changes that are required, then the cadets should actually decide what they should be and implement them themselves. This is not a decision for a governor to make. It's a decision for VMI to make. And I go back to where I started. I think an institution of the high caliber that VMI is, that actually adheres to an honor code that holds everyone to the highest possible standard, is something that all organizations and institutions should aspire to. And therefore, I'm so proud of the fact that VMI has this honor code. And I would not, as a governor, think that it was anywhere near my responsibility to impose upon it, but to, in fact, allow the VMI cadets and the VMI leadership to decide how it should be implemented and adhered to.
Thank you very much. The Board of Visitors has a construction of 16 members. I think it's the majority members are VMI graduates. There's a certain number, I forget how many, have to be Virginia residents. It requires 4 to be non-alum. So it's aiming for diversity in where the individual board members come from, their experience base, et cetera. So from what you know about the Board of Visitors, and the way that they operate. Do you think that there's a need for a change in construction of the board?
Sir, I would overstep my bounds if I had a specific recommendation here, because I think that boards of visitors should first represent the institution with which they're in charge of governing. And I think that having a majority, if not a supermajority of individuals on the Board of Visitors that fully understand what VMI stands for, its mission, is critical. And therefore, the functionality of that board is one that the VMI Board of Visitors needs to assess every year. Are we performing the role that we should be? And again, as governor, I think my job is to make sure that there are high quality people, high caliber people that are appointed to the Board of Visitors that are absolutely in keeping with what that Board of Visitors needs to do. And so as of now, I don't know any reason why the Board of Visitors should not be maintained in the way it is, but I want to make sure that when we have appointments to be made to that board, that they are in keeping with the values of VMI, that in fact they do represent people that, in my view, have attended VMI and therefore can fully understand the future for VMI. And I'll look for a lot of guidance from the VMI Board of Visitors, but also from any alumni, and help me understand how best to make those appointments when they come available.
Yeah, VMI is kind of a strange place, and it's very easy to take it out of context. So being able to reach back and connect with those who know VMI and been there is probably a good bet and pretty important. I think it was in October, the governor of Virginia, along with a handful of legislative leaders from the state of Virginia, sent a letter to the Board of Visitors that basically said, and I'll paraphrase just a little bit here, that there's a clear and appalling culture of ongoing structural racism at VMI, and I want to see it changed. And then laid out a couple of mandates. It's been extremely harmful to VMI to date. As governor, what actions do you think you might consider in order to correct some of the things that have happened, if possible, at VMI over the last 6 months?
Very first thing I want to do as governor with regards to VMI is assemble a group of VMI cadets and VMI alumni and actually sit down and hear your views on how best to reestablish the great reputation of VMI. I think this is one of the big mistakes that leaders make, is they actually think that it's their job to make a quick decision, as opposed to step back and actually listen to the experts, to listen to those that know the institution the best, and then to understand how to move forward in a way that actually reestablishes and supports the tremendous reputation and the tremendous institution that VMI is. And so, sir, that's where I would start. I would actually assemble a special group of folks who can give me the right advice and counsel, so that as we move forward with discussions and decisions like this, I am the best informed, because I think good leaders actually understand what they don't know. And bad leaders always try to fill in the holes and make things up along the way. And I hope to be a good leader for all of Virginia, but particularly for the VMI community. And I look forward to reaching into that community for the kinds of advice and counsel and suggestions that a governor should have, as opposed to making decisions without any of that to begin with. And that's what I fear has happened to date. I think the VMI is an extraordinary institution. It's an institution that, unless you've actually attended it, you may not be able to fully understand why it is such a fabulous institution. But I know this, as I said earlier, the young men and the men that are my peers that I know that went to VMI are extraordinary. And therefore, I want to surround myself with them to make sure that anything that we do well informed and for the best intention of reestablishing the great reputation of VMI.
I appreciate that answer. How's the sort of fall away jumper here? How's the campaign going?
The campaign's going extremely well. We have an extraordinary amount of momentum. In the past few weeks, we received the endorsement of the Middle Resolution PAC, which is the largest endorsement that's been handed out so far. We had a great debate at Liberty University Monday a week ago, and we ended up with 47% of the straw poll, which won going away. On Sunday night, we had the Faith and Freedom Caucus debate, and we received 61% of the straw poll afterwards. We've had extremely strong support from delegates, having signed up 17,500 delegates to support us in the convention. Just to put that in context, when it was planned to be in Lynchburg, they were hoping 5,000 people might attend, and we have 17,500 that have signed up to support us. And I guess finally, and I think this is most important, is there's a real recognition that elections have consequences. And the consequences for Virginia have been quite crushing over the last 8 years. And so nominating a candidate at this convention that can, in fact, yes, carry our values forward and lead, but also win is hugely important. And so I was humbled to see an article in the Charlottesville papers on Saturday or Friday that actually suggested that of all the Republican candidates, I'm the only one that could beat Terry McAuliffe. So the campaign's going extremely well. We have 11-day run here to get to the convention on May 8th, and I just invite everybody to please participate. Participation in this convention is critical. Republicans are coming together like never before in order to express our views on how to win as Virginians. And I think this is our moment, and I so look forward to moving forward and representing all Virginians as the Republican candidate for governor and winning in November and putting this Commonwealth back where she belongs as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family.
Well, thank you for all that, and we look forward to seeing what happens on May 8th, and hopefully some of us can be a small part of the participation that will help us understand and appreciate the election for governor here. It's a critical time in our history in Virginia. So thank you for picking up the mantle, and along with your other Republican candidates. I think that's a wrap for us today, Glenn, and thank you for taking the time out. Hopefully we gave you a couple of minutes back so that you can take a sip of iced tea or something before you go on to your next engagement. Please thank your staff.
I want to thank you again, Matt. I mean, this is an incredibly important part of Virginia, VMI, and I want you to know that I'm going to go work for you. I'm going to go work for all Virginians, and I just so look forward to bringing the values that I think ground us all back to Virginia so that we can, in fact, put her back where she belongs as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family. So thank you for having me today, and I deeply appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of the VMI alumni across Virginia.
Okay, thank you, sir.